Two-time F1 world champion Max Verstappen may be drifting towards a third straight crown, but Red Bull gave him a real chance to go sideways ahead of the summer break. With pro drift driver Mad Mike Whittett around a Milton Keynes track just a stone's throw from Red Bull Racing's HQ. Verstappen had his work cut out for him, with Whittett's car, a modified 600 brake horsepower 1992 Mazda RX-7, dubbed the Mad Bull. The Dutchman, a lifelong drift fan, started off with some training to make the perfect donuts before moving on to a more complex figure eight and a Scandinavian or Scandi flick. Once mastered, Whittett set him up for a real challenge, a 180-degree drift-style handshake with his Red Bull boss Christian Horner. Verstappen hit most of the oversized hands, more than impressing his talented New Zealander coach.
I think I've been the most nervous in the last 1 or 2 years doing that. So just because it's not natural, right? It's not what I do normally. So the first time, and also I'm on the right-hand side of the car, so everything is opposite to me. So that took a little bit of time to get used to. But yeah, it was insanely cool.
F1 remains on its summer break, but the racing continued in Indycar last weekend at the iconic Indianapolis Motor Speedway, where Scott Dixon put in the drive of his life to win the Gallagher Grand Prix. The six-time champion started 15th, but dropped to the back of the field following a multi-car incident on lap 1 that forced him to spin onto the grass. But Dixon kept his engine running, returned to the track, and the fight back began. The New Zealander first hit the lead on lap 27, but kept his head through the pit stops to reclaim it on lap 64, and then in defense against Rahal Letterman Lanigan's Graham Rahal. It was the Chip Ganassi driver's first win of 2023, his 54th overall, and moved him to second in the standings with 3 rounds left.
Yeah, that was crazy. Huge credit to the team. You know, we weren't sure even on the first run there. I will say I had a fantastic start. I think I got up to like 8th or 9th and then got T-boned in turn 7 there. But huge credit to the team. You know, it's been a trying year for us, just where things could have rolled our way, they haven't. But they never give up.
IndyCar champion Alex Palou has turned his back on McLaren and F1, with the Spaniard set to remain in the American Series with Chip Ganassi Racing, following another controversial contractual U-turn. Palou blindsided Ganassi last year when he signed for McLaren, with a legal mediation enabling him to remain at the squad and drive F1 cars as a reserve to the Papaya powerhouse, setting the Spaniard up to move across, at least in IndyCar, in 2024 with the Arrow McLaren SP team. But in yet another shock move over the weekend, Palou has decided to cut ties with his management and the squad, paving the way for a long-term multi-million-dollar reunion with Ganassi. This is incredibly disappointing, considering the commitment he has made to us both directly and publicly, and our significant investment in him based on that commitment, said CEO Zak Brown in an email to all staff at McLaren. So Lewis Hamilton says Mercedes' huge progress so far this year should set the squad up for a more competitive 2024. The Silver Arrows finally abandoned its zero-pod concept after Bahrain's season opener, where Hamilton finished 5th, George Russell in 7th, costing it crucial development time on its W14. But while Mercedes has since proudly reclaimed second in the standings, with the 7-time F1 world champion also earning a record 9th pole position, his 104th in Hungary, Hamilton is not expecting to go one better and win in 2023. For everyone back in the factory, it means a huge amount for them. And whilst we can't currently catch the Red Bulls, I think that puts us in a good position for next year, he said. Zhou Guanyu wants to lock down his Sauber drive for 2024 as soon as possible, with the Chinese racer keen for a clear picture on his future before the summer ends. Guanyu says the team has been happy with his results, despite a difficult C43, and reserve driver Théo Pourchaire leading the F2 standings, with the goal to remain at Hinwil into 2024. This time last year, I was more worried than right now, because I feel like the team is quite happy with the job we were able to do. I'm just continuing to work as I did, he said. The squad has already said that it's seeking stability for next year, given its 2026 transition to Audi, which would allow Guanyu to finally compete at his home race, with the Chinese Grand Prix returning after 4 years. Guanyu is one of 8 drivers yet to be confirmed for 2024, with Sir Lewis Hamilton and Kevin Magnussen set to remain in place. AlphaTauri's pair are less stable, as is Logan Sargent at Williams. Madrid is set to get its own race, says ex-F1 driver Juan Pablo Montoya, after someone in his home country Colombia messed up and botched plans to secure a Grand Prix in Barranquilla. Spain's capital has been pushing for a race since last year, despite rival Barcelona locked in until 2026, with the local government wanting it to be run in the area surrounding its IFEMA Conference and Convention Center, where F1's first official exhibition is also being held. But it's now understood that Madrid has jumped the queue in getting a race, perhaps before 2026, with Montoya spilling the beans on his home country's mistakes in its dealings with the sport. Everything was done, the signature was missing, and they were ready to sign. Maybe in 2028, they ended up giving the race to Madrid, he said. Red Bull revved up Madrid last month, when Sergio Perez piloted its title-winning RB7 and RB8 in a night demonstration on the city's main streets. Haas boss Günther Steiner has again warned that letting in new teams could return the pinnacle of motorsport to financial peril. F1's governing body, the FIA, is currently assessing applications from a number of aspiring new outfits, with room on the grid for 2 extra teams and an announcement expected next month. But Steiner, whose squad is aligned with Ferrari, which is also opposing the push for additional entries, says there's no need for F1 to compromise its explosive, growth-fueled current peak. If you put another team in and maybe somebody gets in jeopardy in 3 or 4 years' time, maybe 8 or 9 teams leave, he said. US motorsport icon Andretti Autosport is the leading contender for an F1 shot. Michael Schumacher's decade at Ferrari from 1996 to 2006 remains one of the sport's most beloved periods, with the German rising up to win 5 straight titles after 2 with Benetton. And demand is still feverish for Schumi's merchandise and cars, with a record price expected for his 2002 Australian Grand Prix winning F2001B that is going under the hammer later this month. The car, available via Sotheby's Sealed, never finished off the podium in its 2-race career, with a victory at Melbourne's Albert Park and a podium at the next event in Malaysia. Schumacher's 2003 car was sold by Sotheby's last year for a cool $14.9 million, almost doubling the then record sale price for an F1 car. Thanks for watching. To stay up to speed on all things Formula One, make sure you hit the subscribe button.